that the Brexiteers haven't got the muscle to get anything better in terms of a harder Brexit out of Mrs May?
Well, I think this article is based on a false premise that people want to get rid of Theresa May right now, because I really don't think they do. There's clearly a lot of regret among the Tory backbenches and indeed frontbenches about the failure to secure a majority at the election and the way in which the election was handled, frankly. But I don't sense, I don't know what Laura thinks, I don't sense a desperate attempt to get rid of Theresa May right now. The Tory backbenches want her to focus on Brexit. She secured a very good deal last Friday. They want to ensure that the process continues in a stable fashion. And the last thing that you'd want to do in that respect is to change the leadership. But
the point he's making, he's suggesting, is that, hardline Brexiteers aren't getting what they want. If they could get rid of Mrs May and get one of their own, Michael Gove, stay in place, that would be better for them. But he's just saying they haven't got the votes.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is they physically can't. So you'd need 48 Tory MPs to push this vote of no confidence and in Theresa May. And I don't think they're going to do that because those hardline Brexiteers are a minority in the Tory party. And I think Theresa May, if we've learned anything this year, from back down to the terror attack to the coughing fit, she's gone through an extraordinary series of disasters and she's still standing. And I think she has this real sense of duty. She's not going to go anywhere. And I think people know that. And I think people know that she's managed to sort of get through the last week in a way that has sort of just about appeased as many people as she possibly can. And there's just not enough people out there
Jonathan,
who
you're
want to get rid of her.
This isn't really the Brexit that you would like, is it?
I think what she is doing is taking us out of the customs union, out of the single market, out of the jurisdiction of the ECJ.
How far are they?
And giving us our own trade policy again. I think people, you're never going to get an absolutely perfect deal. There is always going to have to be some compromise on the edges. But I think it was significant if you look at the House of Commons last week when she, or was it on Monday? I've lost track of the days, when she reported back on her deal to the House of Commons, there was what was called this outbreak of unity from all sides of the party.
Now, Raphael Bear is saying, well, look, if Mrs May is leading the country down a, I don't know what you say, centrist Brexit course, then actually the sort of ambiguity of the Labour Party won't hold because she's basically eating their lunch. Do you think he's got something there?
Yeah, I think Labour have done a good job of sort of managing to appease every faction of their party by not really coming down and saying anything. It's very unclear. If you asked a person on the street, what does Labour actually think about the single market, they probably couldn't give you an answer. And they've done that on purpose, I think, because it's all a bit awkward. A lot of the people that back Jeremy Corbyn are very young and therefore will remain voters. But he himself and John McDonnell have been accused in the past of
one could say it's working for them. I mean, they did all right in the general election. They're still.
But there'll be a point where they
do you think they are going to have to shift their position?
They are going to have to say something and be a little bit clearer. I do think so, because if you've suddenly the kind of the shambles within the Tory party, the divides there have distracted the media and they've distracted the public. If actually, as you just said, the Tory party seem to be uniting now, then all the attention is going to go to Labour and they're going to have some answers.
Do you think they're going to have to shift their position?
Well, the Labour Party have to explain what they really mean.
But why do they? It's working for them not explaining, isn't it?
Well, they are trying to hold together a very fragile coalition of different interests. The kind of radical hard left Corbynistas, the centrist Blairites, and the traditional working class Labour vote, a lot of whom voted Brexit.
But staying ambiguous, doesn't that actually help hold together that fragile coalition?
Well, if you're trying to become the next government of the country, which supposedly they want to be, they're going to have to come off the fence and explain their position. Now, Labour's position this year has been all over the shop. At the general election, they were pretty clear, saying we back Brexit. Within a few weeks of the general election, Corbyn sacked a number of members of his front bench for voting for an amendment saying we want to stay in the single market and customs union. The Shadow Trade Secretary, Barry Gardner, over the summer was very clear, staying in the single market will make us a vassal state of the EU. But now Keir Starmer has pursued a very fuzzy line, as Raphael Bear says here, which seems to be saying, oh, perhaps we could stay in the single market, perhaps we could stay in the customs union, and that's not going to wash for very long.
Well, we shall see.